So Dr. Saha, if you want to go ahead and join the stage, as well as you, Sherry. Yeah,
I know Pranab.
they
He's
might be
there.
having a technical difficulty sharing this, coming on stage. We'll give him a second.
While we're waiting for Pranab, I will tell you one thing. I joined SAE in 2017, and then I was getting to get to know the different business units. I was surprised that one name kept coming up over and over again, and that was Pranab's name. Hey, Pranab, I'm telling stories about you.
Thank you. But I thought that I
Yeah.
was there.
I'll let
Well,
you
you
guys
are
take it
now.
away.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
As I was saying, different business units, as I was introducing myself, were all saying, "Have you met Pranab? Have you met Pranab?" And I was really intrigued by that because, experts usually have one area within SAE they work, but Dr. Saha is sort of all over the place. So, Pranab, can you kind of share with us how you joined SAE and became so involved?
Thank you, Sherry. And good morning, everyone who is in the time zone that I am in. Um, I think there must have been somebody thinking about it because I joined SAE sometimes in late 86 or 87. And once I became a member, I was asked to join the standards group. At that time, it was Sound and Heat Insulation Committee. Today, what we call is the Acoustical Materials Committee. I was given an assignment. Think about it, a volunteer getting an assignment to develop a standard for conducting vibration damping measurements, which is today SAE J1637. The work I do, and I did even at the beginning, I enjoy it. And I had an opportunity because of my consulting company to be able to teach others what I know so we can have a better product. SAE gave me that opportunity through the professional development. I have done this possibly for close to 30 years. Not always it has been easy, but it has been always rewarding. The last thing that I want to mention that I really enjoyed is being able to help develop a document for SAE, how to write an SAE technical paper. Thank you,
Hugely
Sherry.
important. Yeah, that's hugely important for newbies. They don't know where to go. They don't know exactly how to start. So having that instrument in front of them is a huge um, way to inspire confidence and get them to write those technical papers. I will say that you've been doing courses, technical papers, magazines. You've been everywhere. So, what made you interested in writing a book? And I will put you on the spot just a wee little bit to say that I know that contract was signed in 2014. So, what made you excited, and how do we finally get that out?
I think, again, as I mentioned before with my consulting company, as I started working, all my customers wanted to know, how do you do this work? Why do we do this? What do we need to know? I didn't really expect that many questions to get a job, but I do understand that I have to be able to respond properly. So how does this book get started? It is the customer's questions, as there was no easy way of learning things. So I thought an organized fashion would be very helpful. And why this book? Because it is hoped that this will help essentially everyone, somebody new or somebody with experience. They will find something in this book that they will be able to use to make their products better.
Excellent. And I was at the NV conference last week, and someone came by and flipped through the book and was just astonished. And the first words out of his mouth were, "This is Pranab's life work. This is everything he's ever presented. This is everything he's ever done." And I think that's a very true statement. As someone who worked on the book, I do know, it was kind of fun looking at some of these images, and I would ask you where they're from. And you're like, I don't know, Sherry, I've been using them 40 years. So that was a bit permissions issues, but we found them. We worked through it together. Can you tell us a little bit about the questions you address in this book covering fundamentals of acoustic and noise?
Almost everyone who is working in the sound package industry needs to know some of the basics. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a technical person. You don't have to be an engineer. You could be buying parts. You could be developing a new business, but you still need to know how the materials work. Therefore, the book covers a little bit about the fundamentals, of course, with the vehicle in mind. Otherwise, it will be too dry. I used the standard or that standard in doing the work. That is not sufficient. You need to know, depending on what your customer asks, what that method is involved with. Therefore, the book discusses some of these things also in a very simple way.
Are there other resources that people can lean on at SAE in addition to your book?
I think that chapter 8 of this book is the kernel of the book. It provides various case studies and measurements that we do every day. And in doing so, in chapter 9, it talks about different test methods. And Acoustical Materials Committee of SAE is one of those committees where we develop test methods for sound package materials. We only work on methods that you will not find in other standards group like ASTM or ISO standards. So these are kind of unique standards.
Gotcha. You know, as your publisher, I was thrilled that we were covering not only ICE, but EV. And as Beth Ellen mentioned earlier today, as people shift over to EV, there's probably going to be the desire to block out even more noise. So can you talk a little bit about the shift from ICE engines to EV and what's going to happen in terms of noise?
I think shifting from ICE to EV, we have eliminated the powertrain noise of the internal combustion engine. That is quite significant, up to about 3,000, 4,000 hertz. Now that we are going to EV, these noises are unmasked. If we are going to use sound package materials, we need to make sure the materials can perform well at those frequency ranges. So the book talks a little bit about how to tune materials in different frequency ranges as well.
And I would encourage after this to go in and look at the cover of the book. Pranab and I went back and forth quite a bit on this. And the cover show, well, you tell us what the cover shows.
The cover shows different sound package materials that are used in a vehicle. In a vehicle, it doesn't have to be just a passenger car. It is in the mobility industry. The heavy trucks and the off-highway vehicles in the cab, we all have the same issues. A sound package engineer or an acoustics engineer tries to solve the problem in many different ways. And one of them is sound package materials. That's what is shown in this cover.
And I think you sort of answered the question about why this topic is so important to all mobility industries, because they all have similar sound packages they need to deal with, correct?
Correct. And in the book, we have some examples from an off-highway vehicle, what kind of sound package materials they use and where they put it in.
How have these materials changed over the years?
That's a very good question, and I will see if I can do this thing in a short time frame. I'm going to go back to the 1950s or 40s. We used to use jute in our vehicles, in the carpet underlayment.
I didn't know that.
Jute used to come from, in those days, it's called East Bengal, a part of India. Then it became East Pakistan. Then it became Bangladesh. But with the cyclone and other environmental disaster, we could not rely on their schedule. Instead of jute, we started using cotton fibers that's grown in the southern part of our country. Cotton fiber was great, no problem, but gradually we realized as we shipped them, we stack one top of the other, the bottom 10 or 20, they get really reduced in thickness. They do not conform to the carpet. There came in the early 80s molded carpet underlayment. It's called an open pore methodology. It used to be 8 pounds per cubic foot. From there, today, you can get it at 3 or 2 pounds per cubic foot density.
Wow.
Then, 20 years ago, we had dissipative system. Dissipative system is an example of lightweighting in the sound package area. And we still have dissipative system today in a different way. There will be newer lightweight dissipative systems as well. So there are a lot of changes in the materials.
Excellent. I'm one of the few that got to tour your facility. And as someone who's not familiar with this industry, it was absolutely amazing. The different fibers or different materials that are used to absorb noise and the testing that you do is quite intriguing and interesting. Is there anything else you might want to share with the audience or someone new coming into this field?
One thing I wanted to share, the author always feels the book is unique and there is a need for the book in the mobility industry. In that respect, I'm no different. However, the value of the book will eventually be judged by the readers. I sincerely hope that the book will be beneficial and be used by the NVH people in the industry to develop better products. I have learned a lot by instructing the seminars from many of you because you had questions. We have discussed many things over the years, and many of that is also in the book.
Excellent. How many students have you taught through that course over the years, do you think?
I would not know that. It has to be close to 500, maybe 1,000. I do not know.
I would imagine so. Does anybody in the audience have any questions for Pranab right now? Oh, okay. I have one from Roy. It says, does the book cover acoustic metamaterials?
The book does not cover acoustic metamaterials by that name, no.
Okay, the next question is, does the book cover topics on solid structure, feel, and harshness of passenger vehicles?
The book does talk about the harshness and the subjective parameters that are involved in the acoustics of sound.
And then Ravi wants to know what the frequency range is for EVs.
The frequency ranges for EVs, Ravi, is going to be from the low frequencies all the way to the high frequencies. The audible frequency range is from 20 to 20,000 hertz, but we are going to have noise issues in a vehicle, in an EV as well, roughly from 125 hertz or 200 hertz to about 8,000, 10,000 hertz. The difference is some of these noises were there before, but we got kind of used to it because it was masked by the internal combustion engine. And some of the noises, like the electric motor noise or the inverter noise, are noises that we did not hear before, but they are of a different strength or sound level than the internal combustion engines.
Excellent. We have more questions just flooding in here. Barry wants to know, does the book cover the new technologies and new materials for automotive NVH, lightweight NVH, and noise cancellation?
The book does cover about lightweight sound package materials. The book doesn't talk about the active noise cancellation in that sense because the emphasis here is acoustical materials and sound package materials.
Terry has a great question. What could the disruptors be in the move forward for sustainability with progression within the NV industry?
I think the recycling is very critical. I think that the lightweight fibrous materials, and and natural fibers, they will come in very attractive and very important.
Okay, I think that's all our audience questions. I have one more question for you. It's not on your list, so sorry. Can you share with the audience? We have a lot of people here who may be thinking about writing a book. What did you find, most surprising about the process, most rewarding, and any tips that you would give someone who wants to pursue this?
I think by writing a book, you get some satisfaction, and the satisfaction is you are helping others. There is no second to that. But I also find that if we are going to write a book, we need to be more organized, which I'm not. I wouldn't tell you how long it really took to write the book, but I really want to thank SAE staff, Sherry in particular, for giving me the opportunity to complete this. Monica really started this one, but I could not finish at her time. So if any of you want to write a book, keep the others in mind and be organized.
Excellent. Thank you. So I think we'll just shift this back to Angie, unless you have anything else you'd like to add, Pranab?
No, this is good. Thank you.